I couldn't believe this when I heard it from our next guest, Dave Trabert with the Kansas Policy Institute, that the Kansas legislature decided to have a shorter session. They decided to adjourn Friday rather than in mid-May. And frankly, I think a lot of people are looking at Topeka and saying, so what exactly did they accomplish this year? Dave, good morning. It's great to have you on. How did they come to that decision, by the way?
Well, good morning, Pete. Thanks for having me. We don't know. There's been speculation that maybe they wanted to save days for the next session in 26. We just don't know. It was just the only thing we know for sure is it was known even before the session that the plan was to get out in mid-April instead of mid-May.
Wow. So, and didn't they just give themselves a nice pay raise too?
Yes.
How about that?
Yes. And, you know, the big challenge with ending a session early is that you don't get enough time to get the work done. And then the things that you do get on the governor's desk, like anything they come back now, even if they pass something now and put it on her desk, if she vetoes it, there's no chance to override the veto because they're out of session. So this is a real head scratcher.
So they give themselves I think it was like a 90% pay raise, and the year after they do that, they decide to shorten their workload by about a month. I mean, that's not a bad look or anything. I mean, that's really bad. And what's the big win right now in Topeka, Dave?
The big win is not much.
Exactly. You know, I mean, there isn't really one.
They came into session saying we're going to. I mean, the mantra from both chambers was we're going to do property tax relief. It's what the voters demanded when they went knocking on doors. They all tell the same story. Voters are demanding major property tax reform. And the Senate did introduce many things to try to get that done. The House, on the other hand, has taken the opposite approach. The House Tax Committee twice tried to repeal revenue neutral. They claimed it wasn't working. The data shows it unbelievably is working. It's getting stronger every year. They, for 3 years, and now this is the what. I'll get to the why in a minute. For 3 years since revenue neutral passed, the cities and counties have been begging the legislature, repeal it and give us money, and we will try to pretend that we're going to use that money for property tax relief. That's what the House Tax Committee tried to do twice. Thank goodness the Senate stepped up and said, no, that is not going to happen.
Dave Trabert, go ahead. Sorry.
No, and then the other thing is they introduced a constitutional amendment that would limit the valuation limit the increase in valuations for property tax. Mm-hmm. By the way, 66% of Kansans support this. What they introduced was not something that would really limit it. They said, we're just going to spread the pain with a 6-year rolling average. Again, a favor to government.
We were told, or Republican voters in Kansas were told back in the fall, hey, these elections for these state Senate races and these state House races are critically important. We need to be able to have the votes to override Governor Kelly. And the results shook out as such, where actually we were told that the ability to override Governor Kelly was easier now than it was, let's say, a year ago. And it seems like they have done nothing to use the power that the people of Kansas gave them on November 5th.
Well, on paper, yes, the numbers say that there's more Republicans. So if Republicans hang together, they have an easier chance to override vetoes. But the dirty little secret is that what's been going on behind the scenes is we've had legislators go to their leaders, like Speaker of the House and Majority Leader and so forth, and say, please don't make us vote on certain legislation. Some
Why?
of it was, well, because you want to be able to say, I support something, and then not have proof that you don't. If a bill does not come up here's a great example. The Senate passes a bill that simply says school board members can visit a school when it's open. The school district will publish email addresses for school board members, and a school board member can get a discussion item added to an agenda. It squeaked through the Senate 21-19. The House won't take it up because House members don't want to vote on it because they know it will upset their superintendents, and that might impact their next election opportunity. So they go, and I've got confirmation there were people running for leadership positions saying, vote for me, and I'll make sure you never have to vote on controversial legislation.
Give me a name there. Come on.
It is. I promised the people who shared it with me that I would not get into names, but it is, and you see it happening. You see the committee, the Senate Education Committee, passed two bills. One that would simply say, okay, so we know from audits that school districts are ignoring state law on how they spend at-risk funding. The Department of Education won't do anything about it. The State Board of Education won't do anything about it. So we propose legislation that says, okay, if you don't follow the law, you will lose your accreditation. It passed the Senate Education Committee. The Senate leaders will not bring that up for a vote.
Wow.
Because it will out people. They want to be able to say they support something, but then it's like, no, we'll just want to be able to say we support it. And so now here we are with property tax. We have two major bills, a constitutional amendment that has passed the Senate. It's 1603. That would limit the increase in assessed values to 3% a year. If the House would pass it, it goes to the ballot. So it's not the legislature saying this will happen. It's saying we will let voters decide if this is what they want. The House allegedly won't take it up.
Wow.
We tried. We cannot get them to even say we'll take a vote on it.
So how much of this is politics where people are looking to maybe, run for higher office, run for governor, things like that?
Well, it seems like that's most of it. Political ambition seems to be the driving factor. And bizarrely, we're seeing this with people being more interested in currying the favor of government lobbying groups like school districts and cities and counties than trying to get support from taxpayers. I mean, you look at it, we're going to give government what they want. We'll kill revenue neutral. We'll try to give them an incentive we'll give you a bonus for only raising taxes a certain percentage. That itself would lead to a tax increase, allowing the pain of valuations to just be spread a little bit rather than stopped. And so now here, I can give you some names because this is really openly discussed under the dome in Topeka. You've got Speaker of the House Hawkins wants to be the next insurance commissioner. Then Johnson County resident Chris Croft, who's the majority leader, wants to be speaker. You've got Ty Masterson is telling people he wants to run for governor. That's the Senate president. And then the House Tax Committee chair, Adam Smith, is openly being discussed as a candidate for lieutenant governor. Not confirmed, but there are people speculating at least that it could be to pair up with Scott Schwab to be his lieutenant governor candidate.
Maybe Adam Smith can help Scott Schwab with those bald guy text messages I keep getting. Someone's got to clean them. I mean, someone's got to do a better job than that. My gosh. I like Scott, but those texts are terrible. Man, that's a bad deal all around. I mean, the voters, Republican voters in particular, are getting hosed on this thing. Well, thank you for bringing this to light, Dave Trabert. I really do appreciate it. And you keep them on their toes out there. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks, Pete.
All right. Wow. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute on KCMO Talk Radio.